Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Erin Barrows. I am a Recreation Services Manager with the Parks and Recreation Department. I hope you're all in the right place. This is a question and answer workshop today regarding our Burbank Community Arts Grant program that we are getting ready for the third cycle or in the third cycle. I want to make some introductions. So with us today from the outstanding Parks and Recreation Department that's celebrating our centennial year is Recreation Supervisor Bryce Burton, Recreation Coordinator Jocelyn Pelaez, and Administrative Assistant Lorena Romero. We also have our fabulous Community Arts Grant Consultant, Christy Lisinski, with us today. I think it's important for you all to see our faces and know our names because we will be the team that is going to help guide you and lead you through the application process for the Community Arts Grant Program. The emails that go to communityartsgrant@burbankca.gov will primarily be responded to by myself, Jocelyn, and or Bryce. I do ask that you give us like 2 to 3 days to respond. Usually we're pretty quick on a response, but if you haven't heard anything back from us in 3 days, definitely like give us a friendly little nudge again. I want to give you a brief overview of the program. As I mentioned, we are very fortunate that we are going into our third funding cycle of the Community Arts Grant Program. And the purpose of the program is to support local artists and nonprofit arts organizations and to engage Burbank residents with diverse and outstanding cultural arts projects. The grants that we award range anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. They're available for visual and performing arts projects that encourage arts engagement and experiences for all members of the community. And we encourage applications that projects that expand public access to the arts and build awareness and appreciation for the art form presented. Educate, entertain, and inspire by thoughtfully engaging residents, businesses, artists, and visitors, and offer a wide range of creative perspectives and reflect our community's rich cultural diversity. Individual professional artists and arts nonprofits based in Los Angeles County and working in the visual arts and performing arts are invited to apply for these grants. Sorry, let me grab my notes really quick. So this meeting today is really guided by all of you that are with us. We are here to answer any questions you may have. If you were not able to join us on September 17th, we did hold an informational workshop that day. The recording is located at the Community Arts Grant website on the City of Burbank page. So I would highly encourage you to go and view that if you haven't done so already. We're going to be here to answer your questions today. I'm going to turn it over to Christy in shortly, and she's going to kind of give you a little bit more information. But from there, like I said, you will be the ones that will guide this. Also on the website, there is information, there's FAQs that you can look at, there's ideas for possible projects, there's the timeline, there is information on venues, like possible venues you could go to. We also show our past recipients from 2024 and 2025 to give you an idea of different proposals that received funding, the amount, what it was, and where they were held. We are currently in the second funding cycle. So our second funding cycle started on March 1st of this year and will conclude on February 28th of 2026. We are excited that we had 37 applications in the second phase. 31 of those were deemed eligible and went to our review panel. And of those, 17 individuals were awarded funds. The Q&A is available in the chat, so please take advantage of that as we go. Also, at the end of this, we will give you the opportunity to raise your hand so that you can verbally ask your question as well if you would like. And please take advantage of this group, especially while we're here. We're here to help you and assist you. There all is also the possibility or the opportunity for you after this, if maybe something you didn't think about, and as you go through your application, please email Community Arts Grants, a grant at burbankca.gov. And if we can't answer your question through the email, or we feel that it would be better for us to get it on a Zoom call, we can definitely do that. Christy and I have done that in the past, and it definitely has, I think, helped individuals in the process as they've been there to apply. So again, the five of us are all here to help you through this process and to make it as easy as possible for you. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Christy.
Great. Thanks, Erin. And hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to quickly go through the timeline, some grant tips, eligibility, and then move into your questions. The application did open September 9th, and we will be accepting applications up until that deadline of Friday, October 17th at 5 p.m. Once we get those applications, staff, myself will review those applications for eligibility and completeness, and then anything that's ineligible, we'll hold back and let them know, and then we'll move the applications onto our panel, which consists of either 5 or 6. We've had 5 or 6 in the past, professionals in the arts with a knowledge of Burbank. And we're in the middle of working on our panel right now as well. They will review all the applications and score them based on the criteria that we set, artistic merit, community access, the viability of the project, the cultural inclusion, and of course, any of the applicants who are based in Burbank will get that Burbank residency credit. And they'll be meeting, they'll have a one-day panel meeting that they'll review all of those applications and be able to hear from their peers and set those final scores. And that'll be in December. And then we will be notifying grantees in the beginning of January. The park board meetings on January 8th. So right around that first week of January, and the project period that you need to be thinking about is March 1st, 2026 through February 28th, a full year, 2027. So that project needs to take place within that period in the city of Burbank. And some people ask us, like, what kind of projects are you looking for? And I just always will say, be creative. We want to see what the community is coming up with. This is our third cycle. In particular, it's really exciting to see the individual artists and what they're coming up with. And then for the arts organizations coming up with new projects that they're engaging the community with. Burbank's the media capital of the world. So we have a dynamic, creative community to engage with. I would say that projects can take a variety of artistic and cultural forms, from original film, video, and other audiovisual works, the performing arts, to two-dimensional pictorial and sculptural works, to art exhibitions and performances. We've had people apply with, poetry and spoken word. We really want this to be open to everybody and all kinds of different projects. But we do want to make sure they're eligible, and I'll go through some of the most common issues. We've had some artists apply who are not based in LA County, particularly in that first year. I think they just didn't see that. But you need to be based in LA County. And some projects didn't have a public arts component, meaning it was just sort of this private project that wasn't engaging the community in some way with a performance or a culminating event. The venue not being in the city of Burbank, I think we've fixed that mostly at this point. But if that's even outside the boundaries of Burbank in North Hollywood, that would not be eligible for the project. For some arts organizations, not having at least 2 years of public programming to their name, that has been a problem in the past. We want to make sure that that you've been doing this for at least a couple years. We don't fund art in public places, so permanent murals, sculptures, and those types of pieces that would be in the city of Burbank. You know, we have the Art in Public Places group that does fund those types of projects. So we do not typically do that for this grant program. We don't fund benefit concerts or fundraisers. So if there's any fundraising component officially, obviously you may get some donations through an event, but it cannot be a formal fundraiser. We've had some arts nonprofits apply that are not actually arts nonprofits. We do need, if you are a nonprofit, to have your primary mission as the arts. And then the other thing would be incomplete application, typically with the budget. And this year, one of the things that we are sort of changing or really being more sticklers on is that project budget. We need to have project budgets from all applicants that are balanced budgets where income equals expenses. So you will show us, you know, some project in the past may have had maybe more income than expenses, or they might have had slightly more expenses than they showed income. That we want to see a balanced budget. If anybody has questions, specific questions about that, I'm happy to answer those. And then new this year, we do have some more comprehensive venue resources. We do recommend the venue letter, that you identify the venue. You may not have it completely committed. We've had grantees change the venue during the process. That is absolutely okay, but we do want to see that you are reaching out to your venues and coming up. You know, often the venue really will be important to the project. You can't just do the project anywhere. So we want to see that you're thinking about that. But obviously, we know that changes happen. So you will not be required to do that venue if for some reason you're not able to execute the project there. One of the other changes this year is just that we allow you to upload your work samples directly into the JOT form, or you have that area to do the links to an outside video on YouTube or Vimeo. In the past applications, we've had you kind of go into the Burbank Cloud separately, and it might have been a little bit more confusing. So you do everything in the application. And then just quickly, some grant tips. I would just make sure you plan it carefully, reading the instructions and the guidelines thoroughly. We have sample applications for either an individual artist or nonprofits that you can see all the questions and you draft your answers in advance. Submit early if you can to avoid any last minute tech problems. Clearly describe the project, who you're engaging, what you're doing, when you're doing it, where you're doing it, why you're doing it, and the art that you're presenting. One of the things that we found is that a lot of people want to just do like workshops because that engages the community with the art. But this is really about the artists showing their work and showing their creativity to the public and engaging them with that. So workshops can be part of a project, but it can't be the only part. So you make sure you explain how you'll use the funding. You'll compensate artists and your production costs, marketing, rental. Catering and hospitality are not an acceptable use of city funds. So you certainly can feed your artists or have some hospitality for people who come, but that would just not be part of the funds that the city, you would have to use other funds to pay for those costs. And just noting that all grantees, whether you're an individual artist or an organization, has to show proof of insurance. So I know this has been in the past, it can be challenging because I know individual artists aren't really thinking about that, but we do help with providing some of the insurance companies that have worked with the artists before. And if anybody has questions about that, we'd be happy to help facilitate that and point you in the right direction. And And then focus how you're going to engage the community. Make sure that that is not an afterthought, that you're doing this art, you're pulling this art together, this project together, and that you're talking to them about the work in some way or engaging them. So that'll strong applications show that it's not just an afterthought. Um, and I guess that's really it. The FAQs are available for you to look at to get inspiration. You can see what other prior grantees have done. Know that it doesn't have to be in a traditional art space. Be creative. And with that, I don't know if we have any immediate questions in the Q&A feature,
We
or if
do.
anybody wants to raise their hands. Okay.
So I'm gonna read the ones that are in the Q&A, but if you want to raise your hand as we go, please feel free to do that as well. So the first question is for artistic samples. If putting on an original play or series of short plays, would writing samples in PDF form satisfy that requirement?
Yes, that can. I think we have, I'm trying to remember if we have like a page limit, because you can't submit like just entire plays. I think we say like it might be up to 15 pages if you are actually submitting words as a sample instead of, the other option is to submit a reading of another play if you have a recording. But yes, actual transcripts and writing of the plays would satisfy that.
Okay. Next question is, we're interested in submitting a grant application for an individual artist to hold writing events in Burbank. About 90% of the members are Burbank residents or Burbank adjacent. We've partnered with Burbank Library, the Buena Vista branch, when there are the write-in events, and a close relationship with the community engagement manager over there. We've had events we've had events held at Colony Theater and have a big focus on bringing arts to the Burbank community. Do you recommend adding letters of support or other attachments, past flyers of our events when submitting the grant application so we can make it as competitive as possible?
So to answer some of those questions at the end, there's the artistic samples. I think we require two, and then you can have up to two additional items, which are like your support materials. So it could be a flyer, as you say, like it could be a flyer from an event that shows what your graphics are like. If you want to add a letter of support there as well, that could be added in that like additional marketing and supplemental materials. We don't require any letters of support, but if you feel that that you have one and want to submit that could certainly help. The only thing I want to go back to as well is when you say they're writing events, my concern is that it's a workshop and not an actual presentation of art in some way. So if the writing events are workshops where people are writing, I'm concerned that there isn't a professional presentation of those writing samples or readings of those. So I would just be careful about that eligibility. And then I see here the writing events are usually performances. So performances of those, like a spoken word event where so I would call that more, yeah, like a spoken word or so that would qualify. Sorry.
Okay, and then regarding expenses, can we include insurance costs and rental costs for venue? I want to make a quick comment about the insurance. So what we have found is, first of all, if you receive, as you go through this process, if your application is deemed eligible, you go to the review panel and you're one of those proposals that is recommended for funding. Once it is approved, we do have a meeting, another Zoom meeting with everybody that is receiving grant funding. And we go through all the paperwork with you and we talk about insurance with that as well, because I feel like insurance, as Christy kind of mentioned, can be the biggest headache with it. And our purchasing department has worked with us where even though your application is going to be from March 1st, 2026 to February 28th, 2027, because we know that coming into this, not everybody has a set date and location yet because you may be waiting to see if you receive grant funding. Um, if your event, right, is one day, you only have to purchase insurance for that one day. It has to meet the requirements and the minimums that we're requiring. But I've seen somebody purchase insurance for one day for 3 hours on one day, and that's acceptable. The only thing is that you then have to make sure, right, that your event is going that day and during that time, so there's that coverage. So I just wanted to kind of, when Christy was speaking about it earlier, I definitely wanted to make sure I just kind of address that and then let you know more about the paperwork that you'll get a packet, but we will walk you through that packet. So then with that, sorry, Christy, can we include
Yeah.
insurance costs and rental costs for the venue?
Yes. I mean, you should include full costs of the event. So when you're putting the project together, you need to look at the whole scope of it and everything that it's going to cost you to do that, whether it's marketing, um, the production costs, the venue rental, any expense that you have should be on the expenses. It shows that you've thought through and really have, I mean, that's where the project viability comes in, that you really thought through the expenses. And then you're not going to be like, oh yeah, we need the venue, and I guess we have to pay for it. And that's why it's good to talk to your venues in advance. And then it's possible. We do not require a one-to-one match, meaning you can just ask for the money from Burbank and you do not have to show other monies coming in. If your expenses go over the, $5,000 ask, maybe you have a $10,000 project or a $7,000 project, you just need to show the income that's going to support those expenses above and beyond the city of Burbank. So either way, you need to show a balanced budget, and I would, yes, include all expenses for that project.
Okay, so we do have a hand up, so I'm going to bring Shannon over. Hi, Shannon. Can you hear
Hello.
us? Hi,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm
Welcome. Thanks for
well.
joining us today. Please
Thank
feel
you.
free to ask your question.
Yes, okay. And there's no camera at you don't need to see me. I don't know how this is. I mean, I've used Zoom before, but I just want to make sure. Am I being
You're,
seen?
you don't need to be on camera. We see your name right now and we hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. My question is, well, one, I am an individual artist and have been sent this grant by actually a couple of people, which is really cool. And I'm actually on a mailing list where I received it myself. So I'm really excited. I do have a question though about one of the eligibility requirements, and I pulled it. I'm actually on the website now. Pulled it up before, but now I'm trying to pull it up again, and it's not like there somehow. Unless I'm wait, maybe I'm on. But okay. I think okay. So my question is, sorry, is I remember seeing something about applications not that are religious in nature are not acceptable or proselyte. Oh, I see it. Programs that are religious in nature or contain elements of proselytizing, we will not fund. So I guess I just wanted to understand that a little bit more, only because I looked at the I think, yeah, I know it's all about what is the definition of proselytizing. I think it would start with that. I mean, you can obviously Google it. Also, I did see with the former grant recipients, there was a project. I didn't get to go through all of them, but there was a project that was religious in nature. So I just wanted to understand what that was. And I can explain my project more because it is religious in nature, but I wouldn't categorize it as proselytizing.
So I will say that I think it can't be like oratory where you're preaching to people, but
Mhm.
it can contain religious stories. That is,
Mhm.
and when it says like religious in nature, I get it doesn't mean that it can't include religious stories, or sort of universal stories
Mhm.
that can apply to everybody. So, but it can't be, of a specific, religion, like preaching to, if that makes sense. So, it's not like you have to like shy away from anything that's religious. So if you want to explain your project, we can just,
Yeah.
give you
Okay.
some feedback, but,
Mhm.
does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And that's what I would assume as well and agree with.
Okay.
But just because I'm like, I don't want to do a whole thing and then it's like, oh, not even gonna be considered at all. But it's so I'm a visual artist and writer. And so my project is a children's book. And I wanted to essentially kind of I wanted to publish a book that would be something that I would present in different venues, likely actually. And I'm thinking of the number of Burbank churches, um, and also the library as well, the libraries, which I frequent a lot. And so something along those lines, not necessarily preaching, more uh, like a mini book tour in a way. Um, I mean, I haven't sat down and really decided on that, but essentially something along those lines where there would be a reading. Like I said, I'm a visual artist as well, so I that would engage the community with engaging the children. I'm also a mother of um, three, soon to be four, and I'm in a lot of different Burbank groups for mothers, and there's a significant demographic of women that desire to kind of open up this space for their children and their families. And that's just something I see as someone that's just in these groups. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I think that's just something, I was thinking about.
So I think with the book, just making sure, like it's not a book that you already have. This is one that
No.
you would be executing
Yeah.
through the funding from the grant, and making sure that there's the engagement with community, like you said, through readings and events, that whether at libraries or churches or whatnot.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean that would be eligible, and I guess, um, I think just making sure that it's not like, because the prior project, which you probably might be referring to, is the dance performance,
Hmm.
which, was a very contemporary movement that, like, if you didn't really know much about that company, like you wouldn't really, it was not obvious. It wasn't like, so there was nothing about it that it was just, the artist talked about those sort of universal stories. So as long as the book is a very universal messaging, and it's not like a specific, I guess, I don't know, like if there's a specific story, if it's just sort of like it's for kids and parents, because we do want to make sure that it's sort of universal for everybody. And obviously, like you're saying, you're seeing a need for that, for moms, for families and their kids. So I could see that being, definitely a viable project, and to just make sure that the story is universal and not, yeah, if that makes sense.
That's okay.
And taking it a step further, I would say
Yeah.
venue wise though too, you would need to make sure like it's open to everybody. So depending on like the church or the house of worship that you would go to, you
Hmm.
would need to make sure that everybody of any faith is
Hmm.
invited and welcome into those places to hear those as well. I don't feel like, and maybe I missed it through your explanation, I really understood like what the story would be about.
Hmm.
I feel like, there, and I don't know if you're still exploring what that's going to be, but I don't feel like I understand what you're thinking about for the story. So to Christy's point, you really need to proceed with caution on what that story is and make sure that it speaks to everybody, and that it's not a, you know, for lack of a better term, like a sermon or anything of that nature, right? That it's something that's open. And with these dance performances that Christy spoke about, because the one that I think that you're referencing also actually was they received granting or funding in the first and the second cycle. You would have, if they didn't speak during the performance, it was contemporary, and you would have really no idea what, besides looking at their movements, necessarily what the story was about, and that it did have religious ties to it.
Okay. Yes, that's clear. That's helpful. Okay.
Yeah, and do you, like, if you were gonna submit work samples, do you have prior books that you would, or segments or something like that that you would include? Or is this a first time
This
project?
would be a first time
Oh, okay.
project, the first
Because
time
you're a
book.
visual art. But yeah, I
Yes.
guess work sample wise, you might be showing the visual arts and that you would have done. Have you done the other writing samples before, or just the visual piece?
Yes, I have. I have not in
Oh,
this
okay.
context exactly, but yes, I have. So, I mean, I think also I was planning on likely submitting just some of the progress because it's not completely finished. But the progress materials as far as the illustrations and the writing that I do have.
Oh, okay.
Right
So
now.
yeah, so you have been working on it.
Yeah, I've been
So
working
it's
on
kind
it.
of in
So,
progress. Right.
yeah. But I think, yeah, that's helpful. It's, I mean, I know I explicitly in the book say God, like there's just it's a question about God. Um, so it's kind of like an exploration of God, like who is God? What is God? You know, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, so I don't know if that's
I
So, really quick, not to interrupt, it's Shannon, why don't you email the community arts grant and let's set up some time
okay.
for you, Christy, and I to chat, so that we can talk about it a little bit more. Because I do see we have some other questions, but I feel like we may need to just spend a little bit more time on this.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, we do have another question. So for the venue letter of intent, would filling out the information on the given template suffice, or does someone from the venue also need to write a letter in addition to the form?
That form template that we've provided is sufficient. So there's no need to write a separate letter.
Okay, I don't see any hands up, or any other questions right now. So in the meantime, I just want to quickly share. I know that we're starting to lose some people, so thank you for being on here. What I was going to say is that on the website, you will see that there is a link, so you can watch the workshop from September 20 or September 17th. And then we'll also be posting this video there today. It gives you the timeline. And again, in application assistance and instructions, everything's laid out for you here. It has that venue letter template. Your application assistance, again, has this community arts grant email address. Please take advantage of this. We are here to help you. But this is really laid out to hopefully give you all the information that you need. But if you still need to chat with us on something different, again, reach out. And if it's not easy to do just with the email, then we will set up a meeting at that point with you. So at this point, I do not see any other hands raised. I do not see any questions in the box. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us this morning. Please use the resources that are available to you, being the 5 people on this call right now. And we look forward to seeing your applications, and we hope all goes well with it. So with that, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye.